Hey, hello everyone, how are you all today? So, in the last class, we were able to complete the basic characteristics of teaching. In today's video, we would be focusing on requirements of teaching, the basic requirements of teaching, and then we will move towards the levels of teaching. So, this would be the objective of this particular lecture. And if you uh, haven't seen the videos in हिंदी like अगर आपको टीचर एप्टीट्यूड का एंटायर प्लेलिस्ट हिंदी में चाहिए तो हिंदी में बन चुका है यू कैन चेक आउट ऑन माई यूट्यूब चैनल एंड इवन डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में भी मैंने दे दिया है बट ये जो सीरीज है दिस सीरीज इज कम्प्लीटली एंटायरली इन इंग्लिश द एक्सप्लेनेशन इज इन इंग्लिश सो मेक श्योर इफ यू वॉन्ट the entire series you can go to the I section above. The I section would be on the top right corner, and if you just go put your cursor there you'll get the entire playlist, and from the playlist you can download all the topics. You can actually see all the topics and come to know like what is completed and what is not. So let's start with today's topic, that is requirements of teaching. Now we have completed the characteristics of teaching in a very detailed manner. We will be starting with the objectives of teaching. So what do we understand by objectives? Objectives hereby means aim, or else you can say why are we doing this teaching process, what is the reason why uh, is the need that we need to have teacher, we need to have student, we need to have this entire process, what is the aim, what is the end result. These are called the objectives of teaching. So objectives of teaching are this 6 points, and one second, yes, these are the 6 different points of objectives of teaching which I'm going to explain one by one. So the first is to bring the desired change in pupil. Pupil here means student. So if you don't know what pupil here means, pupil here means the student or the learner. Okay, now teaching is basically done so that the student or the pupil or the learner understands what is right and what is wrong. To modify the behavior, to change the behavior, to make the student understand the topic, to give him the exact knowledge which is required, we do this particular teaching. So objectives of teaching, the first is to bring the desired change in the pupil. That is the first main objective. Make sure you remember that, because there could be n number of objectives in the question given, but we need to choose the most appropriate. So the primary, I could say, the first, the foremost, the most important one would be option number 1, to bring desired change in pupil. The second is to shape behavior and conduct. Yes, this is also one of the, I could say, objectives or aim of conditioning, I could say that, but still teaching also includes to shape the behavior and the conduct. So that is also one of the things you need to remember. The next one is acquisition of knowledge. Yes, it helps in acquiring knowledge and sharing the knowledge to the students. To improve learning skills of the student, yes, it could be through picture representation, through giving examples, through using different methods, to brainstorming, or discussion, or any method through which we are able to improve the learning skills of the student. So the student uses the time and resources effectively so they can learn new things. The next one is formation of belief. A good teacher helps the student to form a belief and self-confidence within a student. Suppose if a teacher always motivates you, like, this is very easy beta, you can do it, this is very simple, we have done it in the past, then the student is more likely to get success and more likely that he or she will be able to understand the topics. Whereas if the student is if the teacher is always demotivating motivating in nature, I'm just taking an example. Suppose if a student is you can say is a slow learner, he is not able to grab or conceptualize things very easily, it's very hard for that particular student, And if the teacher is not at all supportive, the teacher is a bit demotivating in this entire procedure, then what will happen is the student will have a belief that I am a poor student and I will remain a poor student. This subject is not for me. I will not be able to gain any advantage in this because I am poor student or because I don't have that cognitive skill. But that is not true. Formation of belief is something which is very, very important. Yes, I do agree it is very close to indoctrination, but here we are not forcing our belief on the child. No, we are just trying to build a belief system in the student, that the student will learn themselves, the student will understand themselves, the student will you can say get a motivation that yes, this is very easy, I'll be able to do it at no time. So that is the, I could say, the shape of the behavior, or the formation of belief. Fine. The last one is to provide social and efficient member to the society. Yes, this is one of the major objectives or the final result while teaching. If I teach properly, if a teacher teaches properly, if a teacher is ethically correct, then the student will follow the footpaths of the teacher, and this will help the student to become a very responsible, a very good citizen, good social member of the group. So here, this is also one of the objectives, to provide a good, efficient, responsible citizen to the society. So these were the 6 basic objectives of teaching. These are also called as aims, I could say, or reasons why are we going to teach a child. Fine. So these are all the points. Now let's move forward towards the next one, that would be the basic requirements of teaching. Basic requirements means like what exactly do we need while teaching. Suppose if I'm teaching right now, so what are the requirements? I need a teacher right now for this entire process to take place. A teacher is there, which is me. Students are there. You're going to watch this lecture, right? So we have a teacher here, that is me, I'm teaching here. We have students, you all who are actually watching this lecture. Then we have notes, these are the notes. Okay, then for digitalization, I'm using this mic, I'm using the camera, I'm using the pen tab where I'm writing something, I'm using the slides, I'm using the course curriculum of NTUGCnet. So all these things together, they come together and help in the entire teaching and learning process. So what are the basic requirements of teaching? The first would be the dependent variable. Make sure you remember that the dependent variable is always the student, whereas if I talk about the independent variable, it is always the teacher, because teacher is independent. Teacher can decide, I want to teach this particular topic, I want to teach like that, I want to teach like this, but the student is always dependent on the teacher. Yes, because of the technological advancement, what happens is, if you don't like a particular lecture or a video, what you can do is you can switch. You can easily go to other YouTube channels or other education platforms like Byju's, textbooks, JRF Adda, Unacademy. We have lot number of education institutes right now. So you can easily switch to any places very easily, but still there also you will be dependent on a teacher, that if she or he is not teaching effectively, you might want to switch again. So though with the technological advancement you do have options, but you're still dependent on teacher. So here make sure you always remember this. Dependent variable is the student, independent variable is the teacher, and the level of interaction we have, with each other will be known as the intervening variable or the mediating variable. Fine. The next one is professionalism. A teacher needs to have professionalism. Like if a class is starting at 9, I should be there at 9. I cannot come at 10:30 and just casually say okay, thoda late ho gaya. That doesn't work. That is not how things work. You have to be professional if you want to teach. If you want to do any profession, you should be professionalism. So that should be maintained. And in opposite to professionalism, we also need student discipline, because this is a two-way road. If I am teaching nicely, if I am dedicating my time and efforts, if I am putting all my energy, I need to get something in return. So what do I need? I need student discipline, that they attend the classes regularly, they do the homework regularly, they practice the MCQs. So this is what? This is a two-way road. So if you expect professionalism, then a teacher will expect the student discipline. So that is professionalism and student discipline. Suitable environment, yes. Right now, if you listen to this lecture, it's very, you can say, calm. There is no sounds, there are no external noises, or there is no mechanical barrier right now going on. So that is why I'm able to communicate this lecture very easily to you. But whereas if I talk about your environment, if you are listening this lecture with your laptop on or with your mobile, you have your headphones, and you are in your room or in a library where there is very calm, there are no noises, then it is a suitable environment. But what if you're watching this lecture on a mobile phone on the speaker, and everybody is talking, chatting, there are various noises? That is not a suitable environment for learning. So here we need a suitable environment for teaching and learning process to take place. So what would be a suitable environment? That would be a classroom setting, a library, an online lecture, a proper place to study. The next one is to teacher and student relationship. I have explained this, but if you don't know, so let me give you a glimpse how the relationship of student and teacher should take place. Let me explain it to you. The teacher will always act as, this is the first choice you're going to take, that is a leader. Suppose there is a question in your examination. They ask you, what is a relation between a teacher and a student? So what is the relationship between a teacher and the student? And they give you the options like A, B, C and D. A is your friend. Okay. B is your brother. C is your general. And D is your leader. Now try to understand. You have to choose the most appropriate. You will be choosing leader. You will be definitely choosing leader. But what if the option D is not there? Leader is not given. And instead of leader, they give you an option like a guide. Now what you'll do? You will just go for guide only, because in this the most appropriate is guide. And suppose if I change again, and if I now put the point as none of the above, what would be the most appropriate answer? It would be a friend. So if you are able to understand this, I have changed the option 3 times, and during this 3 times the answer was completely changed. So how this happened or why did this happen, I'll tell you. We need to prioritize, and to prioritize here, if they ask about the teacher and the student relationship, the first option you're going to choose from the list is leader. If in the options leader is missing, the second option you will choose is the guide or philosopher. Okay, leader can be a role model also. Once a second. Okay, fine. So your first option or your first choice should be always a leader or a role model. The second would be the guide. The third would be the parent. And the fourth and the last one would be friend. So this is how you're going to prioritize your options. So if there is a question asked on the topic the student and the teacher relationship, so what you're going to answer, you're going to clearly say that in those options, if we have an option of leader or role model, you're going to choose that one. If that is missing, you're going to choose guide. If that is also missing, parent or guardian. If that is also missing, you will choose friend. So this is how you prioritize. And if there is any question asked, you can easily follow this particular rule. Write it down in your notebooks, because this is usually asked and you cannot make mistakes. So write this down, exact list in your book. Okay, so how should be the teacher and student relationship? That is given here. Teacher devotion towards teaching. Yes, how much teacher is devoted in the teaching process. In the same way, how much student is devoted in the learning process. Suppose if a teacher is very interested, she uses various methods, group discussion, panel discussion, open discussions and whatnot to make the students understand, but the students are not really interested, then all her devotion, all her hard work would be in vain, because there is no student's dedication. Whereas if a student is very keen to learn, he does his homework on time, he's very regular to the class, but the teacher is not much interested in teaching, then the student effort will go down. So why do we need these two things? Because these two things complement each other. If a teacher has devoted towards teaching, the student the student should be devoted towards learning, then only these two things will happen. So if one of these is missing, then nothing will be fruitful, I think so. Now we have different levels of teaching. That would be the topic for our next class. So if you haven't seen the previous classes, I would highly recommend you to watch the previous classes. And in the next lecture, we would be discussing about the levels of teaching. I'll give you a hint for the next lecture. If you think we have only 3 levels of teaching, you're wrong. We have 4 levels of teaching. And if you know those levels, on the 4th level, you can comment in the comment section so that I come to know how much do you know about the teaching aptitude. Fine. So take good care of yourself. Study hard, everyone. Bye. Take care.